This is the worst lighting ever. You can barely see half my face. I'm gonna fix it, hold on. No, that's not even... It's not better. Oh well, oh well. I guess I'll be looking ghoulish today. Welcome back to episode 27? I don't even know that. I haven't uploaded in like 3 weeks. And the video I did upload was from like a month prior. I forgot to upload in like so long. And you could tell because that video has no views and it came out like 3 weeks ago, so we're washed. We're a dead channel. There might not even be anybody seeing this. You never know. But, we're just gonna get back into it. I need to change the lighting. Hold on. I'll be right back. This is. There we go. Now I don't look so. Yeah, there. Now you can see me. It's so much better. Okay. I could cut that out, but I won't. Actually, I don't even edit. What am I talking about? Wixo. So, last on this channel, we saw the end of the war between Rome and good old Estonia in China and stuff like that. Saw the resolution of that. Fall of Cambodia. Fall of a lot, actually. Saw the lots of tumultuous events happened. Today we're going to be hopping back in though, starting over here in North America with more Roman expansion, as is the usual. This doesn't look very good, so they basically have already like taken a lot of land here. They pretty much just draw a straight line here and then move into all of this. It's not that hard for them to do. They pretty much just take the whole thing. It's not like it's like great numbers of population here in the middle of central Canada, but they will gladly take it. I'm sure there's resources and stuff. Big lumber, get a lot of trees. But Rome's colony is gonna push pretty far west up to this lake. Well, I say pretty far west, but like it's still like middle, but like for them they're moving. They do a little bit of moving here, but it's pretty cold, so it's hard to really do anything. They basically just walk there, plant their flag, and then leave. So we see Rome definitely making some pushes. In addition, they'll make more pushes down here into war. Oh my god. The most grotesque voice crack. They're gonna move more up into this like central what is this, like Iowa, Minnesota. They're moving into the continental US area. So that's pretty cool for them, I guess. Rome's moving. Now we have another power-ish here in Canada, and that's Scotland's little empire. Scotland will, and when I say like take control of, I basically mean they just send like 5 guys in really big parkas out to plant flags, like I said. But it's more so like here they probably sent like 120 guys in parkas to, settle this area and farm some trees or something. Up here, they literally just send him to plant the flag and leave. Like, this is not... They aren't doing much at all up here. But in this North Island, they will take the whole darned thing over. This island in particular. They will lay claim to... Actually, I'm going to... Just so it doesn't look super ugly, I'm going to do something like this. And have them just take all of this. Yeah. So Scotland lays claim to this island in North Canada, which pushes Rome into a situation where they're like, we really don't want to get into like a scramble for all this barren Arctic land. Let's just trying to negotiate a treaty. And this does work because there is some interest in Rome for potentially releasing South Ireland back to Scotland. There was some fighting over here, but as time has gone on, the war's probably been over for like maybe not a decade, but like several years now, and Rome's starting to not really feel the Irish ambitions no more, and they're starting to amend relations with Scotland overall. And this treaty that I'm about to show you is going to significantly it won't make them friends, but it'll make them like neutral with a slight favoritism, I would say. So this treaty will start with Rome basically being like, we'll give you back Ireland if you give us, and Rome loves to be ambitious, so they're like, we'll give up Ireland, you give us your colony over here, and Greenland, and all of this. And in addition, we want the Isle of Man and Iceland. And Scotland's immediately going to be like, okay, pump the brakes. What do you want about? No, that's not going to be happening. You're not even going to be getting remotely of that. And Scotland pretty much states that they're not willing to get rid of Greenland and Iceland. They're holding on to these two. This is part of them. They're not getting rid of it. So Rome kind of adopts a different strategy, and they're like, all right, first we'll kind of break this into two. We'll start with a fair subdivision up here. So Rome basically goes, it would only make sense for the rest of this like continental Canadian land to go over to them. I'll include this island in there too. So all of this, Rome's like, we think this should be ours, and Scotland does not object. They don't really care about getting onto the mainland, mostly because it'd be unrealistic and unlike. They don't care. They don't want to spend all the time doing that. But all that mainland will go over them. In addition, Rome will be like, we want this entire island right here. This one. Actually, I don't know if you can see my cursor. I hope you can. I don't know, actually. But this island that I'm about to start I am coloring in. They want this, and Scotland also doesn't really object to this one. More so because they're trying to be... It's not like they aren't a colonial empire. That is definitely not the case. But, like, they don't really want to meddle around too strongly up here in North America. So... or up in this area of North America, in the middle of the Arctic Circle. So now it just comes down to these islands, and Scotland doesn't even really care that much. But Scotland will be like, okay, we want to claim dominion over this big ol' island right here. Rome will acquiesce. These islands fall to Scotland, as well as this, all this one, and I think that's about it. So we will see Rome occupy this island up here, and they start occupying these islands. Now there is one country that's somewhat close that they haven't really broached the subject of partitioning the Arctic Circle about, and those are the China, Japan. But they're busy fighting themselves, and their colonies aren't really that strong anyway, so they're not really focused on gaining territory in the Arctic Circle like that. So Rome will pretty easily just secure all of this without too much hassle. Again, nobody's living here, but it's theirs, their land. Rome's colony is gigantic, but they're gigantic, so it makes sense. They'll cross over here, around this lake, completely surrounding it. They won't reach that lake just yet, but up here, they will. Oh, I think I miscolored. Yep, there we go. They'll do a little more expanding around here, something like that. There we go. Boom. Rome's cooking. Rome has quite the colony. But that was the first part of the treaty with Scotland. The second part is trying to negotiate price of Ireland. So, or South Ireland, I should say. So, eventually, Rome's like, okay, look, we want your North American colony, and which one's the Isle of Man? The Isle of Man might not even be I'm talking about the one island up here in the Arctic Circle, not Arctic Circle, North Sea. North Sea. Rome wants it so they could have easier access to the Baltic Sea and therefore contact allies like Prussia and Estonia, I guess, even though they're enemies, but whatever. They want it for those purposes, and Scotland's like, okay, sure. The main thing they're negotiating is the colony over here, and they don't want to give up Nova Scotia is the big thing. So, at the end of the day, Scotland's like, look, we want to make a deal where you get... Actually, my brush is too big. We want to hold on to core Nova Scotia. We will sell you... Well, trade you all of... I think this is a little more than New Brunswick, but New Brunswick... You know, we'll do a little bit more there. Okay, New Brunswick. I guess they'll hold on to the island. The other island. So they're like, okay, you get that, and you will get up here this island. There we go. That's blue. You'll get that island, and in exchange, we'll pay you a little bit of money too, and we will gain control over Ireland. And so the deal is set in stone. Just like that, Rome leaves Ireland to the Scottish. They're back in unity. I don't know what I'm saying. They're back. They're whole. The British Isles under Scottish rule. We'll see how long this lasts. But yeah, that's event 1. But overall, endeavors of the New World in North America is really where it's at. We'll get to this pink colony in a minute. We'll go back to California, who's going to start doing a little more northern expansion, but not too much. They have objectives up there, but not yet. Their big objective is mainly crossing over into the desert areas and securing most of this land because they see potential. We'll see if that comes to fruition. But they'll end up securing quite a bit of territory. Granted, it's hard to go around the Sierra Mountains. You can't really just... It's difficult, so they'll kind of just go around and secure all the land around it. And after doing that, they pretty much control it. So, California's doing a little expanding. Meanwhile, we have Cambodia, who's now Mexico, and Hawaii. That's where their capital is, but Mexico is where the majority of the people and like infrastructure is. So this is the more important part, essentially. And they'll expand, all right. Very similarly to California, they are pretty much primarily focused on this area. They'll move up and meet the border of California a little bit, and pretty much just focus on securing all this land up here. They will do all that. Now, pink colony. Belgian France got absolutely clobbered by Rome and Alpine France. So they're not looking in too great shape, and their colony they just can't afford anymore. There's no way, it's just not gonna work. So their plan, and the thing they're gonna do here, is they're gonna divide it into 3 chunks and sell them to 3 different nations, the neighbors, so to speak. So the first claim is the northern, like, Carolinian Tennessee area, whose border will look something like this, approximately. Here, let me color that in, make sure I didn't draw something hideous. So, kind of awkward shape, but they will Actually, I don't like the way that looks. I'm going to do a little more like... There we go, I think that's fine. We'll have like a little more inland expansion by Prussia. But yeah, Prussia's going to buy the colony, mostly because they were the ones that were just closest. It made the most sense. They're a big colonial power. Over here we do have Cambodia and Mexico securing Louisiana, so pretty much all of this. Now, was it a struggle to pay for it? Probably. It was probably a heinous endeavor, but you know, they made it work. They are probably broke, but they made it work, you know. It's good. Acquired all that. And then the rest of this, the Floridian part, is going to go over to the green team. Now, not gonna lie, I don't like this border quite so much. But I'll fix it in a second after I get the core of it down. So yeah, all this pink colony, gone. Goodbye. I'm gonna, you know what I think is the problem? I gave Prussia too much, so I'm gonna do a little something like that, give them that extra city. And then I don't know about that. I'll do a little more in the east. Okay, you know, I think that looks good. Yeah, I'll settle for that. You know what, we'll give Cambodia slightly more land over here too. There we go, perfect, beautiful. A masterpiece. So the pink team's colony has been movies being recorded outside. Anyways, back to we're still in North America. This has kind of been the focus of this video. We'll leave North America in a moment, but up here, the Chinese and Japanese colonies haven't expanded in a while. They're not super keen on expanding them. China's pretty comfortable with their colony. They're pretty stable, don't really care about moving up into all this area over there. Japan, they're focusing some of their forces on a different plan, and they don't really care about their colony, so much so that their colony begins to pretty much uprise against them. And Japan immediately is like threatening them with violence because they don't want them to defect to China. China doesn't care, they don't really want that. So California comes in and meets with both China and Japan, which is kind of a milestone, you know, because they've been at war for so long that getting them together in the same room to talk through a situation's important, and it's good on California, a country over here, for trying to do that, except they have selfish motivations in mind. Their goal is to convince these two to kind of minimize their influence in this area of the world, this west coast of North America, and they'll successfully do it. They will basically come to a treaty deal where they establish a whole brand new country in Cascadia, and this country is basically Japan's colony. However, off rip, California is signing themselves into an alliance with this and ensuring kind of a counter against China. And in exchange, China will be getting a tiny bit of territory from it, which is the hard part to negotiate, right? Japan was very unwilling to give up any part of the colony, but after long negotiations with California, they eventually are like, you know what, we're leaving anyway, who cares? So, in this, China will get about this much land, just this kind of tip area. Not much at all. And the rest of this is gonna be its own country. Actually, I don't like the way that came out, so I'm gonna give him like what I'll do instead is I'll give him this major city over here. Plus, it's not a whole lot of territory, so that kind of works. So Japan can't be too mad, and then I'll give them like a little bit more territory out here. You know, it's not like they're doing no expanding. They're just doing almost no expanding. So, Japan's gonna leave this alone, and we're gonna see a new state forming here. And we have Cascadia entering the fold. Is this color in use? I am unsure. It seems familiar. Can I make it like a little bit like... Okay. So that's a good color, I think. Yeah, okay. So that'll be them. Good old Cascadia, the country, and immediately California and them will start negotiations on how to divide the West Coast. They'll agree to pretty much relinquish all of this up in like Olympia. Gosh, there's so many pixels left over from the purple color. So all this, Cascadia's, not that they're really trying to do a whole lot of expanding, they just got independence. But the big thing here is that California wants mucho coastline, and they'll take all of this all the way up, and they'll even take some inland, a lot of inland. And now you can start to see what's forming over here. we have behemoths soon to be in the fold. So yeah, that's North America. We will be back. There's still a ways to go in the central part of the country. I didn't touch up on Prussia, so I'm gonna have them do a little like a little tiddlywink of expansion. Over here, just something like that. They're not the wealthiest, and they're very worried about their neighbors attacking them, but might as well do a little expansion, you know, why not? So that's North America. Now, South America we will get to next episode, because we're turning our attention over here to East Asia, where we are going to see a war. We're going to see a series of wars, actually. Burma-Siam, in their quest for power on the likes of China and India, which they arguably already have, but they're going to make it much closer, they declare war on Sumatra over security concerns on the Strait of Malacca. But really, they're just land hungry, as is to be expected. But their military is much stronger than Sumatra's. They pretty much just land across the coast and seize a good chunk of their economically viable land. Borneo considers helping. We'll see if they end up doing so. But as they continue just marching down this island, they reach down here, cutting it off. And there is Java, which we will touch up on in a minute. But yeah, overall, just poor day for Sumatra. They are getting folded. Their northern half just falls, south half falls, cut off completely from the coastline. Capital holds out as long as it can. It's encircled. They lose their islands. They lose the entire main island. They have Java, but Java's pretty much fallen into anarchy. However, in a deal that's already been drawn up, Burma-Siam will not be occupying Java because, oh, looky here, it's Japan. They're coming in. Now, Japan getting assets to Java is going to be kind of difficult because of Borneo, Filipino Borneo. So they're gonna just go through them. Yeah. Japan seizes several islands, and Borneo's like, what? What's happening? And then the Burma Siamese warships start obliterating the coastlines of North Philippines and Borneo, and they're like, oh no, we are dying. Yeah, so Burma Siam just started a whole hell of a lot of chaos in Oceania, and yeah, now China's not happy about Japanese expansion, so much so that fighting just starts erupting again, especially around Taiwan and in the Japanese Sea up here in Korea and stuff like that. As for this chunk of land, Burma Siam does not want to go to war with China, so they're like, China, we want this. How much of it can we take? And they end up just kind of drawing a treaty that ends up with China getting like, they get this major city and some of these ones closer to Shanghai. As for the rest of this, it does go over to Burma Siam. They'll take the whole thing. The whole thing. Goodbye. Kind of don't like the way that looks. I'm gonna pretend it was always like this. Actually, no, I'm gonna give China more light. I don't like how some of these major cities feel like kind of hazily on the edge. So we'll do something like that. There we go. We can do like a little more like, yeah, okay, I like the way that looks. Okay, pretend it was always like that. Pretend this is the treaty that they came to. So that's gone. Borneo, Philippine is freaking out, and they're gonna start freaking out even more when another major power starts attacking them. But first, we got Australia. They do control North Australia, but Australia wants to unite the continent, and this is one of the territories that goes by the quickest, because South Australia is basically just able to reunite them easily. They're just walking in. They're just moving down the coast easily and being embraced with open arms. So they're pretty much just sweeping across. They do push kind of vaguely up here and around the coastline, but it's only a matter of time. Australia will be reunited. Now, up here, we have Old Empyrean Zealand. They're gonna get involved. So they do roll up to Fiji, the island nation of Fiji. It's a collection of islands, but they're basically like, look, let us use you as a staging base or we will invade you. And Fiji's like, okay, we have one stipulation. We're trying to invade Solomon Islands and Bougainville. Just don't interfere with that, and we're fine to cooperate. And we'll let you use our islands to stage all your naval landings as much as you'd like. And the Old Empire's like, sounds good to me. So they'll use them as a landing base and land in South Papua New Guinea, taking over this entire port area. I think Port Moresby's somewhere here, but I don't remember. But they'll take over this quick, and it's good. Well, it's not good, but they're doing good at invading, which is not a good thing. Anyways, this is all fictional, who cares? Fiji will start their incursion into the Solomon Islands, and yeah, I know the Solomon Islands have some freaking horrifying wildlife there, like Australia level wildlife, but we're just gonna say Fiji's built different. They will capture this north island of Bougainville, north of Bougainville. They're fighting to get Bougainville right now. So yeah, Borneo just, first Sumatra's just getting beaten, and they're like, well, we don't know if we want to get involved, and then everybody just turned on them. They literally have Japan at war with them, Burma Siam at war with them, Old Empire at war with them, Australia at war with them. They're pretty powerful. Fiji's not very powerful. They're nothing to tremble in fear over right now, but they're there. That's like here. There's three major powers attacking them, and then like Australia's a solid like presence there too. It's just going really bad for them. You know, they're not having a good time, and that will only continue. Japanese forces are kind of trying to bisect the island chain in Indonesia. They're kind of just using their superior navy. The problem is they are still fighting Japan. They're still fighting China, and throughout the course of this conflict, diverting naval assets to Indonesia will lead to some loss. They will lose their claim in Sakhalin and have to pretty much set up a naval blockade around their island. They will experience some loss in their military defenses against China. They'll lose another island. They are forced to move their line back. However, they're making their gamble that putting China at a minor advantage is worth acquiring all this land down here in Oceania. We'll see if that comes to fruition. So, occupying all this, they're going to move their navy in, capture these islands. I'll say they capture these, as well as this north, weird peninsula of Papua New Guinea. They'll take control of all that, and this major city. They'll stop there, continue moving forces down, and they kind of reach the outskirts of Timor, island of Timor. So they've definitely cut off a lot of some access to Australia, but they're already going to fall. And mainly Papua New Guinea is just left for dead, essentially. Which makes the old empire happy. They're like, woo, thanks Japan. It's going to be easy. Fiji will, after this happens, be able to capture Bougainville as well as all these little islands they wanted. The old empire is pretty easily able to wipe out Papua New Guinea after this fact. They just rip through the entire south part of the island, and then they don't literally start sweeping across, but for efficiency's sake, I'm just gonna color this all in. They wipe this island smooth off the map. Well, they don't, but they take control of it. They'll also take control of this little island over here. I don't know why they're so poorly colored in. That just went bad. But yeah, they take control of that. They'll also take control of this. Now, they do kind of have like a thing with Japan here where they're like, ooh, we do want the full island. Japan, could you maybe back up? And Japan will agree because their endeavor, their goals, their objectives in this conflict are absolutely, most certainly not in Papua New Guinea. They're looking for Java. They were promised Java by Burma Siam. That's the reason they joined this war. They're gonna get it, maybe. In Australia, the continued sweep across the continent is going as well as ever, especially along the coastlines. There are relatively few casualties happening in the Australian conflict. The number is relatively small. Granted, Australia probably doesn't have an insane population because, it has a lot of spooky monsters, but it's still a prosperous place, and it's only going to keep prospering. The Bornean colony here is kind of just swept through. This is a desert, so there's not much to hold on to here. They just sweep on through, pretty much pushing them to that north area where they hypothetically can get reinforcements, but those reinforcements, it's looking like it might not be enough against all of South Australia. And their military's not weak either. It's just that they're not having to skirmish too hard because the people here want to be united under Australia. So this part's the only part that remains because it has some connection, and even then that's not going to be for long. Borneo, Philippines is pretty much just moving all of their military forces to protect the Philippine archipelago, Borneo, and then I know what this island's called, but I forget it every time. Oh, that makes me so mad. It's got a name. Yeah, duh. Okay, hold up. I gotta Google this. This is so upsetting. I forget it every time that I am here. The Indonesian island names. Oh, islands map. That might do it. What is this island called? Sulawesi. Okay. That's not. Okay, so apparently the Banda Islands are the ones that Japan took over. This is Sulawesi. Okay, so Philippine island chain, Borneo, Sulawesi. They're kind of securing all this. Java's just fallen into a state of anarchy. It's bad, but Japan is coming. They will take over Timor with somewhat ease, and they'll move across here. I think Bali's one of these islands. I don't know. They took that too. Their main objective is to get to Java, and they will. However, it's kind of a... They could hypothetically take a shortcut if they can take this island over, so... There is the thought of that, but the defense is too strong. Let's get back to Burma Siam. They declared war on Borneo, but they haven't really taken much of their land outside of this tiny little strip of land over here in China. Why would they declare war on them if they didn't have major, gigantic land ambitions? Yeah, they want Borneo. They want Borneo. They'll take this island and they'll land right here, quickly taking over this kind of Gulf. Not really, but they're gonna do what they did to Sumatra to Borneo. They move in. Now I know central Borneo is like pretty mountainous, I believe, so they'll kind of stick to the coasts. They'll make some minor inland incursions to take over major cities, but overall, Borneo is cooked. They were holding a good defense, but they were holding a good defense against like Japan, not the full Burma Siamese military charging in. So yeah, they'll pretty much move around, move up through the north part of this country, connect up, and begin marching down what's in real life East Malaysia, but they'll capture the entire external island of Borneo. The interior is still technically not under their control, but it will be soon. You know, it's only a matter of time. They can't continue in this state. Their time is ticking for them. But this does open up a massive hole in their defenses. They pretty much move their entire military right here, just kind of a line like that. Well, I guess they also move it in a line like this to avoid Japanese. They're protecting this. They've given up on everything else. So the Sulawesi island will be something that I'm just gonna say for sake of efficiency, Japan takes control of the entire island like it's nothing, but it's a joint invasion between them and Burma Siam. We'll see what looks like in the treaty, but now they can pretty much solely focus on charging down Java, and they do. It's tedious. It costs a lot. It will weaken their position in the China war, but they're making the bet that long term this will help them maintain equalcy. I did just draw this very quickly. Just know that this takes a long time until the end of the war, and even then it's still kind of a tricky thing. Why is there just like a dot there that I can't like get rid of? Oh, it's on the major cities layer. What? Okay. Well. Oh, it's because. Oh, I see. Okay, so if this ever gets invaded again, you'll see a purple dot, and I'll totally forget because it'll be 9 months in the future. So yeah, back to the background. This takes a long time. We will also just color in Borneo for efficiency's sake. Just know there's still a guerrilla fighting. They've pretty much secured this. So now we just have the Philippines. Just this area. Just this land. They're no longer Filipino Borneo Philippines. They're just Philippines. But that won't actually continue for that much longer, as the endless hunger of Burma Siam will lead them to invade this island here, this one, and then boom, they're making a... Oh, why is my... That's so scuffed. What happened? Anyways, so they'll make a landing in the South Philippines, moving across, capturing this, and it's panic in the capital city. It is panic. In addition, they'll launch more forces over here, capture kind of the west side of this island, and begin moving interior. Japan will launch their invasion from Taiwan and land in the north, and this area ends up just pancaking in on itself. With help from Burma Siam, they will capture all of this northern area. In fact, I'm going to just say that it was all Japan, even though it wasn't. And this North Island chain will fall pretty quickly. Burma Siam will take control of this island right here, and this island right here, and this island. Japan will seize the East Islands over here, and now it is just the South Island of the Philippines, and this is where the big battle takes place. Big ass battle, just hella violent. Burma Siam is exhausted by... Actually, I just realized I didn't even color in Australia. This definitely would have happened before Borneo and Sulawesi and Java. But Australia is reunited with itself. Let me just color that in real quick. Happy days for the South Australians. They're no longer South Australia. They're just Australia. They're fully themselves. They're independent. Fully. Well, they don't have New Zealand, but that's not Australia. Not yet. So up here we have this conflict, and they're like kind of trying to figure out what to do, because Burma Siam and Japan have both invaded a giant amount of land, and they have substantial militaries, but they're both exhausted, especially Japan, since they're also fighting China. And talk about expensive. That's way worse than invading Java. And invading Java is heavily helped by Burma Siam, because they want to establish good rapport. But this also means that invading the South Island of the Philippines, even though it is the final stretch, it is providing a lot of problems. So they will call up the other major power fighting this conflict, the Old Empire, and they will agree to allow them to use their military to occupy the South Philippines. And the Old Empire obviously agrees. They do make one request, which is the full Japanese exit of Papua New Guinea, which they do. They're like, whatever, we don't want it that much anyways. And so the Old Empire arrives. They start in this South Island, capture all of this, and just begin blitzing through the south coastline, and then the east, and then the north, and then they're surrounded, and then they're gone. And the Old Empire finishes them off, and Borneo is gone. Borneo, Philippines is gone. Now, I don't I'm gonna fix some things with the treaty, obviously. So Java will be fully occupied by the Japanese. This will all be Japanese land. They also, I feel like, need a way out, so they're gonna take control of these islands. I'm gonna have Burma Siam get Sulawesi. I don't think I like Japan having it here. I'm gonna have Burma Siam take full control over Sulawesi just for further influence. They're also gonna take this island too. I don't know that one's name. Up here in the Philippines, they do hold on to all these islands they took. I don't know about Japan. I feel like they're gonna... You know what we'll do? We'll have this island right here will be Borneo's. We'll also have this island here be Borneo's. They'll take control of this North Island. These two. Could have the old empire take these two. I feel like Japan doesn't want to overextend itself, so we'll actually have the old empire be generously given these islands over here in the East Philippines. So they really came out of this. The three powers that really did all the damage here in Oceania came out of this very prosperous old empire. Went from just New Zealand, expanded their East Asian influence to Papua New Guinea and the South Philippines. Burma Siam obliterated Borneo, took Sulawesi, took Sumatra, and a good chunk of the islands in the Philippines. So, and that piece of China. So they are big. I kind of don't like how similar the color is with Australia. You know what? Now that they're not South Australia, I actually feel comfortable changing the color. So we're gonna do something like, we are going to brighten the land of Australia. I don't want to give them like a desert color because that would be kind of... Well, actually, you know what? They are a desert. I don't know what I'm talking about. Very deserty land. So I'm going to turn the brush up to size 100 and give them a distinct new color. Hopefully I'm not stupid and another country has this color and I just look at the map and then cry. But I think we're good here. Yeah, that looks nice. Yeah, okay. Australia. Now they pop out and they aren't quite as similarly colored to Burma Siam. You can really see where their empire spans. Java, man, Java's so far from Japan. It feels a little rinky-dink. But you know what? They have access to the territorial waters of Burma Siam. They're becoming quite good friends, which is making China very angry, and he's going to push China towards forming some friends of their own. So that's pretty cool. Now, this video's been going on a bit. Let me check how long it's been going on. 48 minutes. So that's plenty of time. Going up into Europe here, we will see some shenanigans happen next episode over here in Europa. I did say we were going to do South America next episode, but we'll push that off a little bit. Actually, you know what? No, we won't. We'll do Africa next episode and South America because the two are going to be interlinked in the situation that unfolds. And then next episode we will do Europe. Again, I think this is episode 27. But for now, that's been it. So thanks for watching. If you did, last episode didn't get any viewers, so that's kind of sad. Watch the video. Thank you for sticking around if you see this, and like and subscribe or whatever, and thank you. Farewell now.